Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padambujanmane Savilasa Mahamoha Graha Grasaika Karmane. We are in the third chapter, Pancha Kosha Vivekaha. In that, it has been so far proven that the 5 koshas cannot be, none of them can be Atman, for they all have limitations, and one by one have been explained, starting from the gross body or the Annamaya kosha, then Pranamaya kosha, and then Manomaya and Vijnanamaya, and even the Anandamaya kosha, in which the individual is not interacting with the world. The entire world of sensory experiences have been shut down. Emotions and feelings and thoughts and ideas about one's own identity with the buddhi also is no more in the sleep. There is only Ananda there. That's why it is said in the 10th verse, Kachit Katvata Ena Atma. Kajit means even little. So here, Kadachit is said in the previous verse, Kachit Antarmukha Vritti Ananda Pradibhimbabhag Punya Bhoge Bhoga Shantau Nidra Rupena Liyate. There is a little amount of the thought which is there just before you go to sleep. In the verse number 9, it is said that Antarmukha Vrittihi, a thought that goes towards the Anandamaya kosha, Ananda Pradibhimbabhag, it is catching the reflection of the bliss. And that, we say if you get a good sleep, it is punya only. Somebody say, I can't sleep, Papa Atma. You can't even sleep. So a person cannot sleep is a miserable entity. Because that is the only place where without anybody's help you can be happy. Everything else, you need something else outside. For anybody to be happy, something should be there. Without any dependence upon anything, if you can be happy, and that is only in sleep. If that also is deprived to you, kya papa atma tum? What a great sinner you become. But some people are there who cannot sleep easily. They need a sleeping pill. So one person said, I want to take a sleeping pill. I could not. Why? These pills are also sleeping. They are a sleeping pill. How can I take? That's a poor joke anyway. So sleeping pillow, that will be good. So the pillow that can make you sleep. But if you can't with all your, external comforts and all the pill, and still you cannot sleep. So the punya bhoge. So that very enjoyment of the fruits of all your experiences, then going further little, bhoga shantau, and that also slowly goes away. Deep sleep, nidra rupena liyate. Now in that very nidra samaye, that very time when one is sleeping, and that is said in verse number 10, Kadajit katvatenatma katvatonatma syad anandamaya api ayam bimbabhuto ya anandaha atma asau sarvato astitah. Ayam atma sarvada asau atma anandena anandarupena sadasida sarvada stitah. This Anandamaya Atma is always there, not just at the time of sleep alone. Why? Kadajit Katva Ena Atma Syat. Anandamaya. Anandamaya api ayam. This Anandamaya kosha, which is experienced as a bliss, is not always. Kadajit Katva means temporal. Temporary, impermanent. Na atma syat. Why? That is because of the temporariness. So anandamaya api na atma. And it is bimbabhutah. It is only a reflection. The reflection source we have to find out. Ya anandaha bimbabhutah atma asau sarvada astitah. Sarvada astitah means of this immutable one, that nature of ananda, which is of the Brahman, is not temporary. It is permanent. Now see, anybody who would listen to this for the first time, who have not introduced themselves to the nature of self and definition of self, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Satchidananda Brahma, ityadi. So what do they say? If anything is there, we should know. If it is not there, or if it is not known, it's not there. Simple. You have already negated Sthula Shariram, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha bhi wo Atma nahi hai. To fir hai, kya hai? Beyond that, what is it? Because whatever be the means to know, all of you negated. At least Anandamaya Kosha, which we have no buddhi or manaha to know, at least it is experienced. That also Atmani. So, but kya hai? So there is an objection here. In the verse number 11, we read here, Nano de hamupakramya నిద్రానందాంతవస్తుషు మా భూతాత్మత్వమన్యస్తు న కశ్చిత్ అనుభూయతే నను దేహముపక్రమ్య నిద్రానందాంతవస్తుషు మా భూతాత్మత్వమన్యస్తు న కశ్చిత్ అనుభూయతే. No means no. Wait. Deham upakramya. Deham means here Annamaya Adi. Annamaya Adi Anandamayantanam Koshanam Uktaihi Hedubihi Atmatvam na ghatate chet. It is not possible. Ghatate na ghatate. Not possible. That none of them can be Atman. Deham upakramya, starting from Deha onwards, beginning from that. Nidra ananda antavastushu. In all that, until the bliss that is found in the Anandamaya Kosha and deep sleep. Mabhut atmatvam. Atmatvam mabhut. Na bhavati. None of them can be Atman. If anything else is there, anyaha, anything else is there, anyastu na kaschid anubhuyate. Nobody is experiencing anything other than all these five. Other than that, nobody experiences anything. So how do you prove the existence of the self other than all these five koshas? Either you admit that there is nothing like that, or you have to settle down for one of them. So here, Atma Anyaha tu Atma Anupalabhyamanatvat. Unupalabhyamanatvat. Not available for experience. Naiva sambhavati iti. Not possible. This is the objection. So, see, the style of teaching is that you create your own objection, then answer it. It is interesting that some of us, what we think is, if nobody objects, it must be correct. That is not the way Vedanta teachers conclude. I will say something, any objection please? No? Okay. That is not right. Because in your mind, you know, somebody can ask this question. It's like I went to one marriage, that's the last marriage I went, last wedding. But after that, it stopped going. So, what happened? The boy was standing. So, in Christian tradition, they ask that question, any objection? But in Hindu marriages, nobody asks. Because the sound is so loud. All the people shouting, and then the Nadaswaram going on, a Shanai going on, this going on, children running around, and everybody is talking at the same time. Nobody listens to anybody. That kind of sound, nobody can ask any question. Nobody will even listen also. And even mantras are going on, everything, so much of chaos there. Because the bridegroom should never know that what he is getting into. You see, you should not realize that. That is why so much of sound. So, but you can't even, decipher what is going on there. And the priest, the official priest is constantly keeping him engaged. You should not think. If he thinks. It's like in military, left, right. Why left? Don't ask questions. Just go left, right. Don't ask any questions. Like that. So in that marriage, it was, marriage between an Indian boy and American girl or something like that. So the boy was asked this question. Do you have any objection? I was in the first row, And nobody raised any hand. So I thought I will raise my hand. because I said, I want to tell him, hey, think before you do that. But then that priest, the American priest, conducting Indian marriages, that guy, he looked at me and he looked at the boy and said, don't ask him, okay? He knows that I will object. So here, Vedanta teacher is not afraid of objection because he himself puts a question. That is interesting. No blasphemy. You can ask questions. I am ready to answer. If I can't answer, that means I am not, coming. I have not thought about it then. I should have thought about it that if this question arises, this should be the answer. That is how the learning takes place, you see. It is not that a math teacher will give you only those problems which will come in the question paper or in the final test. Any kind of question, any form it comes, you must be ready for applying your formula, right? In the same way here, you are allowed to ask questions, allowed to object. Here, if this is objection, that from the Annamaya Kosha onwards until the Anandamaya Kosha, all of them are negated as not Atman. If that is so, Anyaha means another one, tu na kaschit anubhuyade. Kaschit, no one, na kaschit. Kaschit, someone, na kaschit. So, no one, not anyone, anubhuyate is experienced by anybody. So, obviously, you have to prove that there is something available. So, the answer is given in the verse number 12. Vadam nidratayas sarve anubhuyante na itaraha tadapyete anubhuyante yena tamko nivarayet. Vadam nidratayas sarve nubhuyante na chetaraha tadapyete nubhuyante yena tamko nivarayet. Vadam. True. What your objection is correct. Vadam. Satyam. Appropriate. Nidra adayah. Meaning Anandamaya Kosha ityadi. Atra Nidra Shabdena Nidranandaha Lakshyate. Nidradaya means Deha Anta Upalabhyante. So, Nidra onwards up to physical body. Nidra here means Anandamaya Kosha. Na anyaha anubhuyate iti taduktam yaduktam. Whatever you said that no, that is not experienced. Correct. It's not experienced. Oh, that's satyam. Kadam darhi tad adiriktasya atmanaha angikaraha. If it is not experienced by anyone, then how do you know its existence? Please, this is very important. Kaschit na anubhuyate. That is what is given in the pre-objection. Yes, you are right. It is not experienced. Tatapi, even then, anyasya anupalabhyamanatve api. By it cannot be objectifiably experienced also. Even though it is not experienced like that of a deha, prana, manaha, buddhihi, nidra, anandaha. In this way, it is not experienced. You are right. Even then, tada api ete anubhuyante yena. Yena ete anubhuyante. This is very important. By which all others are experienced. It is not experienced. But yena, by which all others are experienced. Now, how many of you have seen your eyes? Seen directly. You're not. But by which you are able to see? Yena chakshumshi pashyati. Yena, by which, that is in Kena Upanishad, right? Na chakshusha pashyati, yena chakshumshi pashyati. So I am able to see, but I am now not able to see the eyes. How many of you seen your own ears? Only the elephant can see their own ears. Nobody else can. It knows its ears are there. It's so big. Have you seen your ears directly? No. How about, okay, nose you can see, correct. I understand that. So, what by which you are able to see, by which you are able to hear, na shrotrena shrunoti, ena shrotragam shrunoti. But by which the ears able to hear. There it is a different context. But even taking the example of eyes, I have never seen my eyes, but I know there is a pair of eyes. Why? Because without that I cannot see. Now you tell me, this I have the eye is a pratyaksha pramana or anumana pramana. Pratyaksha means you might have seen it. Anumana means you can infer. But for inference also, you should have a prior pratyaksha. You have seen earlier times, but today, now you are not seeing it. Now you are not seeing it. That is called that's called anuman, anumiyate, inference. Now, if I say that by logic I understand, without eyes I cannot see, therefore I must have eyes. This is not a pratyaksha praman. It's not because I have directly seen it. Now here in Kathopanishad also, very beautiful verse, it says, Yena rupam rasam gandham shabdhan sparshamscha maitunan eteneva vijanati kimatra parishishyate. That is the beautiful answer Yama gives to Nachiketa. Yena, by which, rupam rasam gandham shabdhan sparshan maitunan, rupam form, rasam taste, Gandham smell, yena rupam rasam gandham, shabdhan sound, maitunan, even the so-called sensuous experiences with the productive organ. Ete ena eva vijanadi, by this alone one knows, one experiences. Kim atra parishishyate, what else is there? In other words, in whose absence none of them all can be experienced. So here, that is what he is trying to prove here. Even though it is not experienced, but ete anubhuyante ena, by which it is experienced. That's why I gave the example of the eyes. Even the eyes are not seen, but because of which you are able to see. Tam, that one, ko nivarayet, who can eliminate, who can object to it. How can anybody deny? जिसके वजह से आप सब ये सारे वस्तुओं को अनुभव कर सकते हो, वो नहीं है, आप कैसे ऐसे ऐसे कैसे कह सकते हो? हाउ इज दैट पॉसिबल फॉर यू टू ऑब्जेक्ट इट्स प्रेजेंस? Even though you have not seen it, you have not experienced it. Hmm. Hmm. Now you see, your question is, your objection is, that which is not experienced doesn't exist. I accept that. That which is not experienced is not there. Only in the form of an object. Here, the Atma is not experienced object, but the reason or the cause behind experiences. That is the reason why the objection is to be properly handled. So here, अन्यस्य अनुपलभ्यमानेऽपि मनत्वेऽपि यद् लाभात् एतेषाम् आनन्दमयादीनाम् उपलभ्यमानता भवति, because of which alone all of them are experienced. Saha anubhavah kadam na angikhriyate. How can you deny its existence? Now, that person does not leave, huh? He says, no, wait. You are confusing me with these words only. No, experience, no, wait. Nan uktebhya anyah atma yadi vidyate, if you say that, yes, even though not experienced, it is present, tad upalabhyate na upalabhyate atah nasti iti ashanka. Even though you say it exists, even though not experienced, how will you prove its existence? How will you prove the existence? Can you, what method you use to explain to me that its existence? See, when we keep on negating a thing, this is not, there are two possibilities. It is not there. When you remove everything, this is not there. If it is there, it must have its own characteristic. Some characteristic it should have. If after negation, after negating everything, it does not have its own nature or characteristic, then it is as good as not there. So what is its characteristics because of which you can say its existence? If all the pancha koshas are removed, if something is there, and what is its nature must be explained. That is called, that way it's called, one is called removal, another is called assertion. Anvaya, Vetireka. Vetireka you have done, but you have not done the Anvaya here. What is its nature then? And the nature is such that it is not an experienceable one. Because you said it is not an experienceable object. So it must have a character that cannot be experienced, but it is there. What is that? So now you see the answer that is given in verse number 13. So the way Vidyaranya treats the subject is totally different, as you probably see, the way he puts the logic around. Verse number 13. Swayamevānubhūtitvāt vidyate nānubhavyatā jñātruඥānāntara bhāvāt agneyo na tu asattaya. Swayamevānubhūtitvāt vidyatenānubhavyatā jñātruඥānāntarābhāvāt agneyo na tu asattaya. Interesting. We have listened to this statement, Swayam Jyoti Swarupaha Atma. Swayameva Janati. Khud aajko aap, it by itself knows. Swayam eva anubhutitvat. It is of the nature of self-experience. What do you mean by self-experience? Vidyate na anubhavyata. Na vidyate, not possible to know, as anubhavyata. Anubhavya vastu rupena. Anubhavya vastu rupena, meaning a vishaya rupena. Na. It cannot be an objectifiable experience. Meaning, objectifiable can be objectifiable by the senses, objectifiable by the mind, objectifiable by the intellect. If objectifiable by the senses, then it must have a form, a color, a taste, or a smell, or a touch, or a sound. No. Okay. That's why in Upanishad it is said, Yattad adreshyam agrahyam. Yattad agreshyam agrahyam. Adreshyam agrahyam. It cannot be seen, it cannot be grasped. Right? What do you mean by that? Now you see, sensory experiences must be limited to what the senses can experience. Ears cannot understand the sound. So eyes cannot understand the sound, or ears cannot understand the form. So, limited by their own field of experience, it can only comprehend what is available in their field. Mind goes a little further. It can comprehend a thing which does not have a form, or a taste, or a sound, or a touch, or smell. It can comprehend it, because it does not depend upon the senses for comprehension. It goes one step further. That's why it's called sixth sense. Why? Because it is possible for the mind to comprehend something which does not fall into the sensory experience. All right. Buddhi is going first step further. What mind cannot experience can be known by the intellect. That means it need not have to have an experience prior to know, because it can create a thing which was not experienced before at all, and think about it. That's how the buddhi is capable. Ajnata vastu vishe. It can understand ajnata vastu. Not known also it can comprehend. Ittadadreshyam agrahyam avarnam achakshustotram tadapanipādam nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam paripashyanti dhīrāha. That's what the Upanishad says. So, buddhi can know even ajnata, meaning not experienced before. And that's the closest to the self. But even buddhi needs to objectify it. Objectify means it has to have a particular characteristics that can be known by the buddhi alone, can be comprehended by the buddhi. What is the nature of buddhi? Karya karana sambandha. It must have cause and effect relationship. Then only it can know. Buddhi can know only the field of logic. इसके ये कारण है, ये कार्य है, ऐसा उसको buddhi can comprehend that part. That which does not have a cause, or that which is not an effect, cannot be known by the buddhi, because it goes beyond the fields of its logic. Now, therefore, anubhavyata na vidyate. It cannot be an object of experience at all to anyone. Now, what do you mean by that? So that is why it said, Jnatru Jnana Antara Abhavat. See, this is a very interesting point. Anandamayadinam sakshinaha anubhava rupatvat eva anubhavyatvam nasti iti. Here, the word sakshi is brought in by the Bhashyakar here. Nanu anubhava rupatve api anubhavyatvam kutaha na syad iti ashankayaha. In the state of deep sleep, let me explain this point to you. Do you know that you slept? I do not know I slept. I'll come to that point a little carefully, because when you say I had a dream, you can explain the dream. For a short time, you can explain the dream. After waking up, after some time you forget. That's a different thing. You can explain the dream because it is experienced like the waking, as what you can see something there, you can hear something there, you can smell something there, you may have walked, you might have talked, you might have done something. All that possibilities are there in the dream. Therefore, experience is more relatable close to waking. Therefore, you are able to remember. There is things to remember. Sometimes if it is a very intense dream, then you may remember even after a day or two also. All right. Now, Nidra Avasthayam, in the state of Nidra, there is no experienceable thing like that of the dream. So, what is experienced there is only witness to Anandam. Because when somebody asks you, did you sleep well? I had a very deep sleep, blissful sleep. What you can comprehend there is only the Ananda that was witnessed by you. But why I am saying witnessed by you? If you say experienced, can you compare it to something which you beautifully saw? No. Is it something comparable to what you heard very well? No. Sound music? No. Is it comparable to some good taste? No. Is it a good smell? No. It's a good touch? No. Is it a good emotion, feeling, love, etc.? No. Is it an achievement or accomplishment like a buddhi? No. Then, what is that bliss? How do you objectify that? So, what you say is, I have witnessed. You can recall the witnessed element, but not in terms of any sensory experience or a thought or emotions or a feeling or a logical, rational conclusion. So therefore, here, sakshinaha, there, anandamayadinam sakshi. The awareness which is in the form of a witness is not a thing can be objectified by anything else. Anubhava rupatve api anubhavyatvam kutahana. So if therefore, that's why the second line he puts, jnata cha jnanam cha jnatru jnane. Anye tu jnatru jnane jnatru jnanantare. In any experience, you need to have two at least, jnata and jnanam and jnaya. Three needed. Three, jnaya is what is to be experienced. Jnata is the one who is experiencer. And between them, this relationship between them is called jnanam. Now, in the state of deep sleep also, there is no object for you to experience. So, when you go deeper into that point, you see Jnata and Jnanam. A Jnata alone has Jnanam. A knower as the knowledge, not the Jnaya. Meaning, the object of experience is not the one which has the experience. The knower alone has got the experience. If I'm seeing a flower, the flower is not seeing me. The seeing is taking place by the seer. The object is perceived and known and experienced by the subject. Correct. Therefore, Jnatru Jnana Antara. So, Jnatru Jnana, knower and the knowing, both are absent. Jnatru Jnana Antara Abhavat. This is very important for us to understand that. Jnatru Jnana Antara, other than the experiencer and the experience, Abhavat. That see, explanation in the Tattva Upanishad is given is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satyam is existence. Jnanam. It is not a Jnata. It is Jnanam. So therefore, the Atman is not an experiencer. It is the experience. Because the moment experiencer comes, the experience to become an object. You see, that is why it says, Jnatru Jnana Antara Abhavat. Other than the Jnatru Jnana, there is nothing else there. If something else is there, then it becomes an object of experience. Atman is not different from, in other words, Atman is not different from the Jnata who has a Jnana. Now let me put it simply for you. So you are looking at a beautiful tree in front of you with your eyes open, and with your eyes still open, stop seeing the tree. Then what happens? Do not objectify what you are seeing. Do not bring a thought of a tree. While eyes are still open, do not objectify that experience. What will happen is, you are aware, eyes are open, but not seeing anything. You must practice that then for you to understand this. Eyes are open, but no thought of anything what the eyes are externally perceiving. Now what happens is, in this point is that eyes are there, possible to experience at anything, but the object is not bringing any vritti. In which case, even if the object is absent, no change takes place in your eyes or the ability to see. Objects can be there, objects cannot be there. It doesn't matter at all, right? Understand that point? In the same way, Jnata and Jnanam is, but not Jnayam. But this does not mean, that's why he says, next immediately he puts, Jnaya abhavat ajneyah. So that's why he puts that point here. It is because it is, if one can say, okay, if a Jnatru and Jnanam alone is there and the object is not there, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It exists as a Jnanam, not as Jnaya, not as an object, but the experiencer remains as an experiencer of himself, of oneself. And that oneself, see, the point is we always think of experience means there must be something else. Here, the experiencer and the experienceable object, both are one and the same. The subject itself becomes the object of experience, though we cannot call it as an object of experience. That is why it is called Swayameva Janati. So that's why the word awareness is used. More than a knower or an experiencer, the word awareness is used. That's what the Vashikar uses the word Sakshi. And this is not his own words. In Kaivalya Upanishad it is said, Trishu dhamasu yad bhogyam bhokta bhogascha yad bhaved tebhyam vilakshana sakshi tebhyam vilakshana sakshi. Trishu dhamasu, in three abodes, waking, dream and deep sleep. Tridudhamashu yad bhogyam bhokta bhogaha scha yad bhaved. Whatever be that thing that is experienced, experiencer there, experienced object or experience that takes place. Tebhyam vilakshana sakshi chinmatroham sadashivaha. Of the nature of pure awareness. This pure awareness is aware of its own presence without being objectified, without bringing a thought, in other words. Any objectifiable experience brings a thought. But this is not an objectifiable experience, and therefore no thought arises out of that. That's why Gurudev calls it as objectless awareness. It's kind of best to, there's no match for that. Objectless awareness. It is awareness with no object. So one cannot say it is natu asattaya, not as absence. This is very important. So, see, when you get into a room and nobody is there, that is called asat anubhava. You understand asat anubhava means? Asat anubhava means what? I am experiencing asat. I am experiencing absence. That is also an experience. Absence is also an experience. Here, in the absence of everything, you are not experiencing the absence. The focus can be both, no? See, you go to a room and there is nobody, and you say, I'm experiencing absence of everybody, you can say, or you can say, I'm experiencing my own presence. Where is your attention? Are you experiencing the absence or experiencing your presence? In the same way, in the absence of all other things, Jnatru Jnanantara Abhavat Agneyaha, not objectifiable as an object, Jneyaha na, natu asattaya, not like absence. Now, one more way I put it there. See, an object is there. An object is there. And you say the object is absent. Okay, it is taken away from my presence. Now, when I say this was there and this is no more, this no moreness of this is because of the experience of its presence before. Can I say this person is absent without knowing that it was presence before? In a room when I go, a person left. Then I know, okay, he was there and now he is not there. I get into a room where there are no tables or chairs, a new house, let us say. So I go there is no two tables are there. I cannot say that table is absent. I cannot say because there is no table at all before itself. You understand? Now, can I say Atman is like an absence? That means you might have seen his presence then. Without knowing his presence, can you say it's absence? Can you? And if you have seen it's absent as well as present, then you must be before its present, before its absence also. So, asattaya na, not as an absence. Can you give me some example of this? How to understand this? Okay, let me give an example for you so that you will understand this. So, in verse number 14 here. Madhuryadi swabhavanam anyatra swagunarpinam swasmin tadarpanapeksha no na chastyanyadarpakam madhuryadi swabhavanam anyatra swagunarpinam swasmin tadarpanapeksha no na chastyanyadarpakam. Madhurya adi. Madhurata, sweet. Madhurya, that which is of sweetness. Madhurya. Adi, etc. Madhurya adi. Adi shabdena amladayah grihyante. Even like, amla, and then some chili and this and that. Good. So all these are all Madhuryadaya swabhavaha sahajaha dharma visheshaha yesham te madhuryadi swabhavaha gudadaya tesham. So like good, etc. or any other things, those which have their own taste, they give their taste to others. Is this not? Chanagadishu swaguna arpanam swagunan madhuryadi madin arpayanti iti swagunarma arpinaha tesham. When you add good, they become good food. So when you put add good, then it becomes sweet. When you put salt, then it becomes salty. Now, because the good can give sweetness to anything that it is, so the chanagadi is given, chickpeas and many other such preparations. Obviously, when you add the good, the chickpeas does not have a sweetness of its own. From the good, it picks up the sweet and becomes sweet. Now, if the good can make any other dish can be made as sweet, what makes the good good? How the sweetness of the good has come. What is that? If the sweetness of the good can be lent to something, what is lending sweetness to good? Madhuryadi swabhavanam anyatra swaguna arpinam. The sweetness like good, etc. can give the sweetness to other objects, other preparations. Swasmin tad arpana apeksha. Their own, that sweetness, it is their own. It is not brought from something else. Because by nature the good is sweet. It is not being given sweetness by anything else, isn't it? So here, therefore, and it is also that naha cha asti anyat arpakam. At the same time, it is sweetening itself. It is not sweet to itself. We'll come to that a little later here. First of all, we should understand it adds taste and sweet to other things. Nothing gives sweetness to itself. It is not borrowed sweetness for the good. So here, let us look at one by one here. Madhuryadaya swabhavaha dharma vishesha yesham te madhuryadi swabhavaha gudadaya tesham anyatra swa samsrishta padarteshu Chanagadishu Swaguna Arpinam Swagunan Madhuryadin Arpayanti Idi Swagunar Arpitan Tesham Swasmin Swaswarupe Gudadi Lakshane Tad Arpana Apeksha Tesham Madhuryadinam Arpane Sampadane Apeksha Akanksha Madhuryadikam Kenachit Sambadaniyam Iti ekam evam rupa no naiva vidyate kincha anyat arpakam nasti gudadinam madhuryadi pradam vastu antaram nasti iti artha. Its sweetness is independent of all other things. So that is why it is given here. Other things to impart those tastes to none, there is no other thing can give the sweetness to itself, nor do they depend upon other things for giving the sweetness to anything else. Why this is brought in as an example, even though Atman cannot be compared to some good or salt, etc. But this example is brought in only to show that awareness is its own nature, self-awareness. It is not a borrowed thing. Whereas all the other koshas, from Annamaya kosha up to Anandamaya kosha, by themselves do not have their independent awareness. It's borrowed. The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, etc. are not independently aware of things without the help of the mind. The mind without the help of the buddhi cannot do that. Buddhi cannot do the function of what it is doing as ability to think without the presence of something, and that something does not depend upon anything. Now you can say, therefore, the senses are active because of mind. Or prana, let's say in between prana also. So prana is because of the mind. Mana is because of the intellect. Intellect is because of something from which it borrows its ability. But that something does not borrow from anything else. And because of that very fact, it is of the nature of awareness. It cannot be either known through what it's given to, nor anything it depends on. You cannot say, Buddhi is there, therefore there is Atman. If you take a sweet dish and you say, this sweet dish is sweet dish because of the good, right? Can you say, good is good because of this sweet? Can you say that? Good is good. Without the milk, with pudding or the kheer also, it is good. In the same way, Mind is because of the buddhi. Buddhi is because of the Atman. Atman is because of the awareness is because of what? Itself. The interesting thing is, as we saw in Gita also, because of the hierarchy, the senses cannot be known without the mind. The mind cannot be known without the buddhi. Buddhi cannot be known because without the awareness. There is not only borrowed nature, but also to know it, you need something else. You need something else. Without that, it cannot be known. Its existence itself is not known. Can you say in the same way, Atman's existence is because of something else? It is self. That's why Chinmatroham Sadashiva. The final Sakshi is that. The Sakshi which doesn't depend upon anything else. So that's why the example is given here. The good is adding sugar to the objects. It is not a borrowed sweetness from something else. And it is known by itself. It is not depending upon something else. It is known to itself. This aspect is, to be explained in next verse, how the example is only having a particular, for a particular context only. You cannot extend it too much. Why? Because, again, the good and all are objectifiable, but not Atman. Because good is not self-knowing. That's why the example stops there. It says that much only you should know. It is independent of being sweetness. Good, the sweetness of the good is independent of everything else. That is the idea here is given. Self is independently aware without any dependence upon anything else. It lends awareness, but it is not borrowing any awareness. It's awareness by itself. And self-knowing, unlike the good, etc., which are insentient. The example is only to show that the independence of its own quality. We'll see more of this in the next. There's a little more he will explain on this and he will move further. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkhavat Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Any